Today I want to talk about the importance of your oven temperature being accurate. I baked the same cookie dough on 6 different temperatures so you can see what's really happening inside your oven. So let's talk about it. Most people know the sweet spot for baking is typically 350 degrees, and we'll get into why that is and why it works so well in just a minute. But what happens if you bake your cookies either accidentally or intentionally on just 300 degrees Fahrenheit? This was my batch of cookies baked on 300 degrees. They don't look terrible, I want to point that out, but they spread more than they should have. We don't have a lot of caramelization happening, and they're just a pretty thin, flat cookie. If you bump your temperature up to 325 degrees Fahrenheit, you get a little bit less spread, but we're still not really seeing much browning. They're still pretty flat cookies. Again, not terrible, but flatter than they should be. So why is that happening with our lower temperatures? When your oven's at a lower temperature, your butter that is in the cookie dough is going to melt faster than the other ingredients in the dough will set. So cookie baking, there's a lot of chemistry happening. We know the Maillard reaction's occurring. You need your eggs to coagulate, the starches need to set, the proteins need to cook. On a low temperature, the butter is melting, but the rest of the things are not happening as quickly. So the cookie has a lot of time to flow out into a flatter shape before the cookie sets its shape and begins to bake properly. So you will not see a lot of cookies intentionally baked on 300 or 325, but what if your cookies are coming out like this? They're coming out flat and thin and maybe even a little bit greasier than you'd like. Well, your oven could be lying to you. That's a huge problem with ovens in a lot of people's kitchens. They're either running hotter or cooler than they say they are. My first kitchen in the first home I lived in after I got married, it ran 25 degrees hotter than it said it did. So it said it was 350, but it was always running at 375. That caused a lot of problems. So what I always do now is I keep an oven thermometer in the center of my oven so that I can check that the temperature my oven says and the temperature my thermometer says match, and I can adjust if I need to. Most people can just calibrate their ovens, or if you can't, just adjust so that you're baking on the proper temperature. So 350 is our gold standard. Sometimes you'll see 375, but I love 350 and use it for most of my baking. With this temperature, you are getting just the right amount of spread before the cookie sets properly and forms its shape. Yeah, the butter is still melting, but everything else is also happening at a faster rate. So the cookie has less time to spread out before the rest of the ingredients have time to set. You're also getting a deeper caramelization around the edges, which is also going to lock in more flavor because you have a higher heat. So you're getting slightly thicker cookies with less spread and more browning, just a better flavor. They should be a little bit less greasy too. 375 is sometimes used in baking, and you can see here we have a slightly thicker cookie with a bit more caramelization. I don't like to use this temperature for a lot of chocolate chip cookies. It's fine if you want a crispier cookie, but for gourmet cookies where we want them to be thicker and fatter, sometimes I'll use 375 because the cookies spread a little bit less before they set, and then you get that thicker cookie, which is really sought after when you're doing the gourmet style. These are generally our safe temperatures. It's very rare I see a cookie baked on 400 or 425 degrees, but I wanted to show you what happens. At least they're intentionally not usually baked on these temperatures. These cookies are a lot darker, they're a lot thicker, they spread a lot less. So everything that was happening with the lower temperatures is just flipped here. The eggs and proteins are cooking and setting faster, and the cookie is just locking in its shape a lot faster. So it's just spreading less because of that. Yes, you get a deeper browning, but that's not always a good thing, and sometimes you end up with underdone centers. The water evaporates out of them faster, which is what's helping encourage the browning as well. But this can also create a more dry and more crumbly cookie. So it's not really the ideal spot. Now, I think this is important to know for a lot of reasons, because if you're like, oh, all of my cookies are coming out looking like this one, maybe your oven is lying to you. I will link to the thermometer I use, but it's just an inexpensive, I got it off Amazon. It's an inexpensive one, and it's proven to be reliable for me. So 350 degrees and sometimes 375 are your sweet spots. Remember, oven temperature is responsible for a lot of things and can make a big difference. I mean, just take a look at the difference here. I hope this helps you in the kitchen as you are tweaking your own recipes and trying to get just the right results you're looking for. Let me know if it is helpful. Let me know if there are any other experiments you'd like to see. And if you have any questions about this or want to continue the conversation, I'll be in the comments. I love talking about stuff like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Behind the scenes kitchen, was it behind the scenes? I had to count how many times. You need, need your started. Is there anything else I should say? I feel like it's a little, what the heck is happening?